Greetings everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to the Imperial Prop Shop. In today's video we'll be making this B-01 tactical helmet from HELLDIVERS 2. Starting off then by 3D printing all the parts we're going to need on my P1S 3D printer from Bambu Lab before gluing it all together outside. Now I did print this helmet a little bit too small so it won't fit my head, and I didn't want to waste too much filler on a project that I can't really use, so I thought I'd try some different methods before carrying on with this project. Here I thought I'd experiment with multiple layers of Halford's Ready Primer. This is a high build primer which is really good for getting out those seam lines on 3D printed projects without too much standing or too much effort. It's an absolutely brilliant bit of kit which I use all the time now, and then paired in with some ultra high build primer, it just gives a really nice smooth surface to the helmet when it's done. And like I said, I didn't want to waste too much time with filling on a project which I can't really use that much because it is quite expensive when I use like really nice filler. So I thought on this one I was just going to play around, and then the seam marks I would just make more cosmetic, as if the helmet had been welded back together. After leaving the primer to dry for a bit, I then used my metallic spray paint, which I also got from Halford's. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. It gives a really nice metallic sheen color to everything. I then ran around the helmet with a satin black, which sort of sank into this nice metal color, and then repeated the process of going over metal and black until I got a color which roughly represented the helmet from the game. With the Great British weather being as predictable as normal, it began to rain outside, so I left the helmet for a day before masking it all over to do the yellow stripes on the helmet. This actually worked quite well, but I feel like the colour I was using was probably a bit too bright yellow, so I started doing a process of going back and forwards, sort of glossing a bit of black over the top of the yellow before going back over it again, and then the next day returning again once it had dried to use a bit of airbrushing and to clean up everything else around the helmet. Here I'm using my cheap little airbrush from Amazon and going over all the edges with a nice shiny metallic silver to give that sort of metal accents, and then later go over all these parts with a dark burnt black, which basically gives all those recesses a really nice dark color to give it a bit of a worn look, and then later again going over a bit of brown to give it a bit more character to make it feel like it's been properly used out there on the battlefield. This time last year, HELLDIVERS 2 took the internet by absolute storm. Everyone who was anyone wanted to be a Helldiver and wanted to fight for managed democracy and for freedom. Rightly so, the game is awesome. If you have not played it already, I'm not entirely sure what planet you're living on, because it's definitely not this one, because HELLDIVERS is just everywhere at the moment. And this game is just hilarious. And of course, we love the props in it, we love the helmet, so I could not wait to make one of these. Finally, the last thing to add to this helmet would be its visor, and I used a really interesting sort of like blasting shield, I think it is, which goes on like helmets for welding, and I simply cut out a small portion of that to stick behind the visor with my super glue, and because my head won't fit in it, I wasn't too concerned about it being a little bit messy on the inside as long as it looked good from the outside. Once that was done, the helmet was finished. Despite being a little bit messy, I'm absolutely over the moon with how this helmet turned out, and it will make an absolutely fantastic display piece. Guys and girls, thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next one.